Florida State lands a commitment in the 2026 cycle. As Michael Langston said on Warchant.com, it's been a minute since Florida State landed a commit, but they're back in the good graces as three-star defensive back Sean Johnson says yes to Florida State. This is a prospect out of the DMV area, an area that Florida State recruited very, very well back in the Jimbo Fisher days. Michael, lead recruiting analyst of Warchant.com, tell me about the latest commit that Florida State landed.
Yeah, a great addition. Certainly a safety prospect. That's been a heavy position for FSU. They wanted to really nail down, throughout this year. They already have two other commitments in Trey Bell and Tadarius Hughes, who are both 4 stars. Add Sean in there, and Sean's just the guy that can physically do everything. I think when people watch a lot of his film, you see he has the physicality to come up. He plays like kind of the Tony White defense that we're used to, that toughness, physicality, playmaker when the ball's in the air, very instinctful as far as fighting the ball, and a guy that they've the old staff, the new staff came in. They had a previous relationship there. Evan Cooper did a tremendous job in this recruitment, and overall, there was a lot of things that led to FSU ultimately pulling that. I think overall, one, their previous relationship, and then two, I think when he came over for that spring visit, that was the shift that I'd heard right immediately. The first probably 3 hours he was on campus, I heard like, yeah, this is moving quick. He's a coveted guy they wanted, but this is moving quick based on what he saw in the practice of the way the versatility that the DBs were used, and he loved the way Evan Cooper coached. He loved the way Tony White's schemes looked to him. As far as the safeties being able to do a lot of just not just your usual cover stuff in a zone or cover stuff for one-on-one. A stuff where that the safeties come off the edge. There's a lot of blitz stuff. There's a lot of aggressive tack, and I think from his comfort level, following that, I think his comfort level was really high, and he felt like a connection that was really a brotherhood there at FSU immediately, and a place where DBs come and they prosper and they go to the pros and they certainly have excellent careers. So it's a university that he knew coming in with that, and then you add all that stuff with Evan Cooper. Now I tell you, Tom, immediately right after that visit, I want to say like a day or two after, he was originally going to go to Penn State later that week, canceled that visit, then set up his commitment date. I knew when he set up his commitment date, I was told like this is done. It's in the bag. It's wrapped. I even heard that it was an indication from Sean to FSU that hey, I'm coming. And then of course we did my RPM pick shortly after his visit. And then bam, just went quickly, and he announced today on announced on April 10th that he's a Seminole. But this is a guy that they were heavily coveted. It wasn't like a new development where they just kind of jumped in. They were on him. He was already officially visiting FSU in June, so that was already set up. So you could tell this was one that they wanted. And certainly you can see why with the versatility and a lot of different things he does, from a game playing standpoint as a safety.
Yeah, this is it's going to sound like a criticism, and I don't mean it as such. He's clearly one of the best athletes on his team in the DMV area here. But I when I look at this tape, this huddle stuff, Michael, I don't see a corner at the next level. So when you tell me he's going to be a safety, that's a huge deal. Just athleticism-wise, I don't think out wide and one-on-one, this is somebody who projects to be a corner at the level of what Florida State's looking for. But
right.
The safety position at Florida State is so important in this defense because you can be a hybrid between a linebacker and a safety. So if you take this nastiness he possesses, he likes to get downhill, physical, stop the run. You could tell he's very comfortable between the tackles defensively in the box, making plays around the football. A couple of clips here you might see a little later in this huddle package. He lands 2 massive blocks in special teams. This is a guy who likes to be physical. So, like, while you're watching this tape, you see him at corner, and I'm thinking, nah, man, not Florida State material. But it's safety/linebacker, which is what Tony White and Evan Cooper wanted to play. This fits very nicely for the 6'2", 190-pound prospect.
Yeah, and if you look at them, the other guys they have in there, Tadarius and Trey Bell, Darrell Bell, as people might know him. Both of them are really good in coverage. So this is a new mixture of a different type of safety, and this is one that, like I said, they had a specific plan for him when he came in for that practice visit. They had certain things that I think he wanted to see, and they nailed it on every one of them. They showed exactly what we see you as, and I think that personal evaluation or personal plan for him was different than any other place. And there was a lot of schools in there. I think Maryland was in there, Penn State. There was a lot of schools, like 6 or 7.
So, Michael, is it safe to say that Florida State now is in a position where they're done at safety? It's 3 players now. They've got Evan Cooper is living up to the billing as a an aggressive go-getter on the trail.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that if these 3 stick, this modern age of college football, it's not an easy thing to promise, but are they done at safety, or could they be looking for even more at that position group?
I don't think they're done. I think they want one more. 2 guys that they know. Lasiah Jackson out of Lee County in Georgia. That's the same school as Usman Chromo. That's a guy that has already said FSU is my leader. That's probably the more likely two, but they are pushing hard for Caden Hall. Caden's already said, like, FSU's my favorite team growing up. So I think first one to jump there, I think that's who they would go with, and that will finish off an incredible class as long as they can sign them. But yeah, those are 2 highly coveted guys. Evan Cooper is the coach that I've heard the most buzz about with recruits. It's not just because they've done really well at safety, but he's the guy that I've heard a lot, whether it's his position or also he's checking off that what we'd heard about him, which is he's a grinder, he's a really aggressive recruiter, and he's already showing that he has his types, and he goes after his types, and he's aggressive getting it, and so far they're getting it done. And if they can get one of those kids to finish it off, I mean, that's a strong safety class to bring in for 2026.
For more information on Florida State's 2026 class that it was snoozing for a little while, they're back awake, they're alert. Head over to the premium recruiting board at warchant.com, the land of Michael Langston and Matt Lasser's coverage. Michael leads the way as our lead recruiting analyst. You can join us at warchant.com for just $1. Just $1 for your first week. You can be a part of the largest FSU fan community in the space at warchant.com. We look forward to you giving us a shot if you haven't already. And if you're watching on Warchant TV, make sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more Florida State football recruiting and Florida State football news here on Warchant TV. Michael, thank you for the time.